This is probably the most brutal, disturbing movie that I've ever seen. So buckle up, folks. This ought to be a crazy, crazy ride. So, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Horror Hangout with the Punk Rock Dad. Thanks for joining me today. 20 years ago, actually, we were given a movie by Gaspar Noé called Irreversible. This movie has, it's interesting. It's very conflicting. It's very divisive. I don't expect everybody to agree with me on how brutal this movie is. I think that's a very subjective statement. It's a very subjective topic. What may be disturbing and hard to watch for me, maybe a walk in the park for you, and something that you think is horrible and hard to watch. Maybe I could sit through and eat popcorn while watching it. There's no telling. So while I invite discussion, please be polite down there. This heads up, this is going to be a spoiler-filled review, but I probably won't have very many clips, if any, in this video. So, like I said, it was given to us by Gaspar Noé. He did Vortex. He's done Enter the Void, 7 Days in Havana, I Stand Alone, a few other movies. I got a gore score written up for this, so we'll talk about that in just a minute as well. The movie is in the same vein as Memento, where it starts with the conclusion of the film, and it works its way to the introduction of the story. And every scene is the scene that comes after the scene before it. No, I'm sorry. Is before the scene that came after it. It's all backwards. Good grief. I can't even talk right now. But it starts off in a club and oh man. It's this is a hard movie to watch. It starts off in like a gay club, which isn't the hard part to watch. It's what's going on in the gay club. This guy is going through there and he's yelling obscenities. And I mean, the most disgusting language you can imagine to somebody in that community. It offended me. Like, I felt more than once in this movie, I felt shame for watching it. I cried once in this movie and I got physically nauseous twice. So if that's something you want to go explore and check out and experience for yourself, it's available on Tubi right now. Honestly, the commercial breaks couldn't have come fast enough, man. They were welcome in this movie. It's about a lady who is, I can't say the right words on here, so she was assaulted viciously. And her boyfriend, who's played by Vincent Cassel, she is played by Monica Bellucci. They were married for a time, which explains a lot of what they did in this movie, because there's a lot of nudity and sexual stuff in this movie where you'd think like, man, I'm surprised they're comfortable doing this. They were a couple when this movie was made, which would make it a little easier to do these things. I can't imagine doing that stuff with somebody that was as attractive as she was and not being with her, or having somebody else that was like my wife or girlfriend. It would have been impossible. I couldn't have done it. She's too gorgeous. And she's viciously attacked. And I mean, it's a 9-minute scene with no cuts that I could see. There's an assault. There's a physical beating. There's head smashing into the concrete, kicked in the face. And it's 9 minutes of this. I literally had to turn my head more than once. I couldn't believe I sat through it. I felt disgusted with myself for sitting through this movie. I've seen Salo. I've seen a Serbian film. I've seen what's that German one? Those are all pretty gross. None of them come close to as brutal as this movie was. This is the most brutal film I've ever watched. It was hard to stomach. In the end of the movie, you're so deadgum exhausted that you're just like, thank you. It's an incredibly sad movie. It's an incredibly abrasive. I would imagine that this is very divisive. I can't imagine too many groups of people are going to all agree on this movie, whether it's good or bad. The F word is used probably a couple hundred times in it. This guy calls people names. He calls them disgusting, uses the most disgusting language. Like, and I don't get offended easily. I wouldn't even call myself offended by this movie. I was saddened by the movie because people like this exist. Granted, this is 20 years ago. Language 20 years ago is a lot different than it is now. What was acceptable back then is not acceptable now. So there's a lot of that to remember. And there's a very brutal killing at the very beginning of the movie with a fire extinguisher that is just absolutely out of this world. That is the coolest part of the movie. But the first like 15 minutes of the movie, the camera does this thing where it goes like like this. It's doing this stuff and it's nonstop. And you very seldomly get to focus on anything for more than a half a second or so, right? And it's going up and down and up and down and backwards and over your head and under your feet and over to the left, over to the right. And it's nauseating. And it goes 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 and it goes. It is hard to watch this movie. It's physically tough to watch it because of the camera work in the first quarter of the movie. I assume that was by design. This is, oh my goodness, I can't even imagine having to make this. Like, I don't understand why the movie was made. Was it to show the viciousness of the world? Because if so, you succeeded. And I'm not saying that that's good or bad. I'm not saying they shouldn't have made it at all either. I'm just saying, like, I don't know why it was made. Like, this is a story that I will say this. I wrote a couple things down. First off, they're asking questions at the beginning of the movie, Vincent Cassell and his buddy, and they're asking these guys like, "Hey, where's this club at?" And they say there's always stuff. There's always stirring stuff up in the rectum. And I was like, "What does that even mean, bro?" And then they get to the club, and the club's called the Rectum, dude. I couldn't believe it. That was hilarious. And then the face completely smashed in by the fire extinguisher was pretty hard to watch. And then I put nauseating camera movement. That was the first thing I wrote down. Then I wrote down the hardest thing I've ever watched. It made me physically sick. I feel gross, shame. I regret watching it because I know this happens to people in real life. Maybe we need to see it to better understand the evil out there in the world. Either way, I'm legit nauseous right now. That is all I wrote on the back of this paper. This movie is hard to watch. Look, there's bound to be movies out there that are harder to watch. There's probably some like really accurately made fake snuff films out there, I would imagine. There's probably real stuff like that out there, trafficking stuff and just no. But like as far as I've seen, this is the peak, man. This is it. I don't know what else to say about the movie. The acting was phenomenal. It was very believable. Everything in the movie was extremely believable. There was a transgender prostitute in the movie that was, I mean, there's so much just vile language. I can't talk to people that way. Look, I'm all about arguing. I'm all about being shitty if you need to be, but like being mean, I've never been a mean person. Never in my life. There was some mean stuff in this movie. Let's just talk about the gore score real quick. Like I said, it's on Tubi if you want to go watch it. Let's go over the gore score and then we'll wrap it up. I want to know, for the sake of this channel and entertainment value, I do want to watch these hard to watch movies sometimes. But this one, I don't know if I can watch this again. I will say this. After getting to the end of the movie, it makes you want to watch the first 20 minutes of it again because you'll understand it a lot better. But I wouldn't go to the assault scene. That scene is 9 minutes, dude. And it's so visually, it's like getting punched in the face repeatedly by a guy that's really big and you can't do nothing because two people are holding your arms like this and you're just having to just take it. It's visceral, it's sharp, it's hurting. It's I said it's hurting, but it hurts. It's painful to watch this movie. I mean, unless I can't imagine why anybody would want to watch this. If you've already seen this or you've seen this video about this movie and you go and choose to watch this movie, you probably need to go talk to somebody, man. You probably have some real shit going on in your head. I can't imagine that, dude. Like, I thought I had a hard time watching some of the early, revenge movies. This beats that by so far. This is such a brutal movie. It's so violent. And out of a whole movie, you got 9 minutes of that, and that is the most violent movie I've ever seen in my life. It's crazy, dude. I was affected by this. So the gore score, but I'm giving it an objective score. So I gave it, for the special effects, I gave it 10 out of 10 because the special effects, while they're few, are really good at the beginning of the movie. Like really good. Like I wish I could put that part in here because it's crazy. The story, I gave it a 10 because while it disgusted me, this stuff happens in real life. So we got 10 out of 10 points for the story. This stuff is real. The acting, I also gave it 10 out of 10 points because it was very unfortunate, but it was very believable. Vincent Cassell, man, that guy, he's the reason I would have watched this without knowing what was going on. I love that dude. But I would like to know his opinion on how he feels about this movie. He's got to be not proud of this one. Or maybe he is, because I do think there's something to be said for being able to go, look, this happens, man. Don't be blind to it. This happens. I think that needs to happen. Maybe that's a reason to watch this. To I know it might desensitize you a little bit, but people need to be aware of what happens in the world, and this kind of shit happens in the world. The world's a fucking dark, disgusting place. This is way more scary than any Halloween or Friday the 13th or Terrifier. This is scarier than all that shit by tenfold. Dialogue, I gave it 10 out of 10 because, again, while it was just absolutely gut-wrenching, some of the stuff that they said, it's real. It's an accurate portrayal of these kind of people. The bad guy rating, I gave it a 10 because that's the evilest person in the world. This is the evilest person, the most evil person in the world, the most evil, excuse me. And when you hear the person talk and the stuff that he says and the kind of person that you find out that he is while he's doing this, and he still does it, I'll just throw it out there, man. To have a homosexual man assault a woman like that and enjoy it, bro, you got to have some hate in your heart. That's the most evil person I've ever seen on a movie before so far. Well, people in Salo aren't any better, but bro, this scene really, really affected me. If you can't tell, the ending, however, I gave it a 7 because I don't really understand the ending. I thought it was kind of. Also, I was just so tired of it. By the time I got to the end, I didn't really give a shit. So 7 out of 10 points. There was only one kill in the movie, got 5 points. There was one broken bone in the movie, got 5 points, and that is a gnarly scene. There's 3 scenes of actual torture, got 30 points. There's 9 scenes of drug use in this movie, got 45 points for that. There is 8 boobs in this movie. There's long scenes of nudity, so I didn't really know how to count it. I did the best I could. There's also 6 scenes with either full frontal nudity or dong, just a big old floppy wiener, and I got a 60 points. There was 2 fights in the movie for 10 more points. The movie was made in 2002, so it gets 10 points for that. And then it's got Monica Bellucci and Vincent Cassel in the movie, and those I would consider legends, so it gets 10 points for each for the legend bonus, because you get 5 per each legend. Sorry, I'm sitting here thinking about it, and it's got me just messed up again. Like I don't like that I watched this movie. I wish I hadn't, to be quite frank. But Irreversible, while I feel like the name of this movie comes from the fact that once you see it, you can't reverse that. That's what I feel. It gets a gore score, a really, honestly, shockingly low gore score of 272 points. I'm thinking about this movie and my mouth is dry right now. My stomach is feeling like I want to puke. This movie is disgusting. I don't recommend that you watch it. As a matter of fact, I have a recommendation scale of 1 to 10, and I give this a 1. I don't think you should watch this movie. It is disgusting. That being said, I'm sure most of you guys are going to go, oh, cool, I want to go see it. Enter at your own risk. And it's up to you. Go see it if you want. But I don't think I'll ever watch this movie again. And if I do, it'll have to be for a very, very good reason. Let me know in the comments what are your most brutal movies. I'll try to get some of them watched, but this was tough, man. This was tough. So I appreciate your time, everybody. This was our Shopcast movie for the week. We'll be discussing it in much more detail on Thursday night at 9 p.m. Central live. That video will stay up, hopefully, if YouTube doesn't take it down. This is a hard movie to even talk about because YouTube has a certain criteria that you have to meet in order to have your videos on their platform. And this could possibly skirt the line of what's allowed and what's not. I try to be careful with my language, and I'll try to do the same tomorrow night, or Thursday night, rather. Or I guess by the time you see this, it'll be tomorrow night. But anyways, thank you for hanging out. Irreversible, man. Let me know if you've seen it. Let me know what you think. I don't. Yeah. Y'all have a good night, and I'll see you real soon. Peace.